Our job is to legislate, not to continue to investigate something in the back when you cannot find any reason to impeach this president. That's why today I am directing our House committee to open a formal impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
So here's the thing, when a Republican says something, there's about a 1 in 2 chance that they've said the exact opposite weeks, months, or even years prior. It's kind of like when I'm wildly hungover and I say, that's it, no more cab solve for me ever again. Well, the chances are I've said this before and the opposite while swirling a glass. Yep, we'll take it.
Speaker Pelosi overreacted. I mean, an impeachment inquiry is unprecedented.
But unfortunately, for said Republicans, Meidas fan favourite, and aside from yours truly, my favourite pundit to watch, MSNBC's Mehdi Hasan, well, he's compiled quite the supercut of said Republicans contradicting themselves on the matter of impeachment. And I know what you're thinking, shocking, right?
I believe impeaching the president in such a short time frame would be a mistake. But here is what a vote to impeach would do. A vote to impeach would further divide this nation.
Well, let's take a look, kicking things off with the Majority House liar Kevin McCarthy.
Our job is to legislate, not to continue to investigate something in the back when you cannot find any reason to impeach this president. That's why today I am directing our House committee to open a formal impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden.
The American people understand this. They want to get beyond this very partisan impeachment.
I've been supportive of the impeachment inquiry going back to July, Brian.
There aren't the votes to do this right, so you're playing this game in the Judiciary Committee.
I think we can get the votes, but you don't need that to move forward.
I think that Speaker Pelosi overreacted. I mean, an impeachment inquiry is unprecedented.
I'm very happy that we have the impeachment inquiry.
Speaker Pelosi needs to end this infatuation with impeachment.
We've been talking about bringing an impeachment inquiry for months.
This is not the first time that Hasan's team have perfectly engineered the hypocrisy express. We remember last month when the subject matter was Fox News' opinion on a presidential candidate under investigation, with the star of the whole show being Franzia Cabaret's very own Judge Janine. Even I found that funny, come on.
I am so livid right now. I am furious. I have spent over 3 decades in a system that I believe in. I'm a believer. But today, I am no longer a believer. What you've got is a weaponized Department of Justice, Department of FBI, and CIA.
We cannot have a country led by a president subject to ongoing criminal investigations, potential indictment, and never-ending hearings.
Hillary Clinton could be sworn into office while still being under investigation from the FBI, which would then put this country into a major constitutional crisis.
This will be nothing other than a show indictment to cover their overtly political, never-ending persecution of any and all things Donald J. Trump.
She's under FBI investigation less than 2 weeks before the presidential election. Holy smokes.
Yes, Donald Trump is a flawed man, but his sins are minor compared to those of his persecutors.
The American people are about to have a candidate who is clearly going to be under criminal investigation for the entire first and second year of her presidency.
All these indictments are about politics. Not a single one of them is about the law.
But on the topic of impeachment, there's 2 main takeaways from this. First of all, of course. And second, this ostentatious change of heart is so ludicrous and unsubstantiated that even fellow Republicans have refused to get on board.
But as always, I am thoroughly entertained by Jesse's diatribe. And I learned some new things, but it's strange that members of the Republican Party who serve in Congress don't agree with him. So much so that they're on record saying things like this. David Joyce, Congressman, I'm not seeing the facts or evidence. Dusty Johnson, there's a constitutional and legal test that you have to meet with evidence, and I haven't seen it. Don Bacon, there should be a direct link to the president and some of the evidence. I think we need to have more concrete evidence to go down that path. And then Ken Buck, the time for impeachment is the time when there's evidence linking President Biden. And I don't think that evidence has been presented. No, these are not people who are Democrats. They're not members of the lamestream media or whatever you want to call it. Those are Republican Congress people.
From Romney to Ken Buck, countless Republicans have gone on air to blatantly object to this huge waste of taxpayer money.
Well, perhaps Congressman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who you have been pretty vocal in pushing back on, is getting your message, because yesterday she posted, quote, this, quote, "Our country deserves for Congress to vote for an impeachment inquiry for very important reasons, not a rush impeachment vote." That is a bit of a shift in the timeline, a little bit of a pumping of the brakes on it. What did you make of that?
Well, Marjorie filed impeachment, articles of impeachment on President Biden before he was sworn into office more than 2.5 years ago. So the idea that she is now the expert on impeachment, or that she is someone who should set the timing on impeachment, is absurd. The time for impeachment is the time when there's evidence linking President Biden, if there's evidence linking President Biden to a high crime or misdemeanor. That doesn't exist right now, and it isn't really something that we can say, well, in February we're going to do this. It's based on the facts. You go where the facts take you.
Let me also ask you, before you go, the impeachment inquiry that McCarthy announced, even though he had said he wouldn't do it without a vote, and then a few days later he does it without a vote. I want to read you something that Ken Buck, one of your Republican colleagues, had to say in a Washington Post op-ed of the impeachment inquiry. He said, "Impeachment is a serious matter and should have a foundation of rock-solid facts. Trump's impeachment in 2019 was a disgrace to the Constitution and is a disservice to Americans. The GOP's reprise in 2023 is no better." He says these allegations against the Biden family are part of an imagined history and a fictitious version of events. Was this premature, going all the way with an impeachment inquiry?
I don't believe so. The facts are everywhere. There are text messages, there are emails, there are witnesses, there are whistleblowers, there are meetings, there are phone calls, there are dinners, and you can't say, hey, there's a little bit of smoke, we're not going to follow the fire. And the inquiry, my understanding is, as you said earlier, gives us expanded subpoena power.
There's no evidence of bribery.
There are witnesses, the 1023 form, there are, you know.
And you've been investigating. I mean, you're on the oversight.
There is evidence.
I mean,
you can't say that there's no evidence. When there is evidence, and quite frankly,
there's no evidence.
It was the fourth estate. It was the media and journalists when Nixon was going down that helped do that investigation, helped bring down the president when he broke the law. And you know, you guys want to deny that there's evidence? It's everywhere, and the bank records will prove it out.
All right, we will see.
That when asked about it, Doc Brandon rose up again.
Got him. We fucking got him.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.